Malignant tells the story of Madison, a woman haunted by grisly visions of murder. As it turns out, those visions were not just a figment of her imagination, and all of the murders she saw really happened. She starts to suspect her childhood imaginary friend Gabriel being responsible for them. My name is Marek, you are watching Screen Time, and today let's take a look at Malignant, the newest movie directed by James Wan. Malignant is first and foremost an entertaining thrill ride, especially during the third act when the movie goes completely off the rails. Until that moment I wasn't sure how I felt about this movie. I was thinking that it is extremely well made, but ultimately a very typical horror movie with many overplayed elements that we've seen countless times at this point. But in the end, was it just that? Ultimately, no. The last part really saved it for me. I realized then that what James Wan gave us is an homage to campy, over-the-top, silly horror movies of the 80s and the 90s with even some early 2000s inspirations. It embraces this campiness and downright silliness of the script without pretending to be something that it's not. Wan is simply a guy who is passionate about horror and passionate about taking the viewer on an unpredictable roller coaster ride. He mixes high production values with ideas more typical to low-budget B-movie horrors that often didn't took themselves too serious. He got this big studio budget and went to town with it. Talking about high production values, the cinematography was fantastic with some impressive overhead and following shots. I also loved soundtrack, especially when it hits you with a banging track during opening credits, making you pumped like you were watching 300 or something. Annabelle Wallis playing Madison carries this movie acting-wise. She was really great. Unfortunately, some of the supporting cast wasn't particularly spectacular. Also, the scenes between Madison and her abusive piece of shit husband were so weirdly bizarre. This guy was almost as bad as a main villain. What's fun about it is how you can make a game out of trying to piece together all of the elements it contains. You can throw all those titles and genres this movie mixes together, like when you want to describe it to a friend and you can say that it was like a haunted house movie meets body horror that was inspired by Giallo, with a little bit of action movie and Matrix fighting scenes. No matter how outlandish it will sound, it will still be more or less accurate.
You know, you just gotta be bold, you gotta take chances, because if you don't, you end up making the same old thing again and again.
I guess the reason why this movie is so polarizing among horror movie fans were expectations. A director responsible for movies like The Conjuring or Insidious gives us a movie called Malignant. I get why someone might have expected something else, but in the end I'm glad James Wan didn't make the same movie again. Malignant have some plot holes, it left a few things without explanation, plus it have some weird flirtation scenes that doesn't really go anywhere. But it doesn't change the fact that I loved this movie. If you can watch it on a big screen, then you should definitely do it. It's wild, it's creative, and it's worth watching for the last 25 minutes alone. James Wan is still at the top of the game when it comes to modern horror, because he cares. He could very easily make another Insidious out of it, but no, Malignant is its own beast. Thank you so much for watching my review of Malignant by James Wan. My name is Marek and next to my head you should find other videos on my channel. Have a fantastic day and I will see you next time. Cheers!